I think the communications need to be limited to essential communications. Yes, ma'am.
And Your Honor,
how do I request a drug test?
Welcome to Rebel Chaser. My name is Gail, and there's a couple of things I want to say first. First, I want to apologize to you all for my complete screw up with the music on my last video. I am so sorry I did that. I did not mean to. It was completely on accident. So I apologize, and I so much appreciate you all for sticking with me through that. I'm so sorry. The second thing is, this clip is an older clip. It's, I believe, from spring of 2021. And the reason I'm putting this up is because a lot of the judges weren't working this week. So I had to look through some old stuff. But also, the father, he has no idea the hearing has even started. He believes he's still in the waiting room because he can't see anything and he can't hear anything. We can see and hear him, but he can't see and hear anything that's going on. So when they do finally get him on, he explains he thought he was still in the waiting room. But the other thing is, you can tell completely why these two people are no longer together. It's pretty obvious. And mom just wants to complain. Seems like that's the only thing she wanted to do with this entire hearing is complain. So I'll let you guys watch that.
Okay, we're here on the matter of Hedrick versus Ream. And this is Hedrick's motion regarding support custody and parenting time. I've got a summary from... So, Mr. Ream, I'm going to mute your channel until I need to talk to you. I'm getting some background noise in. All right. I have a summary from the friend of the court referee, but I wanted to read your actual motion.
Okay.
So it looks like you're asking to change custody and parenting time because the children have requested the change, correct? So it's possible that the underlying reasons for why the children are requesting a change might provide a basis for me to at least entertain your motion, but solely a request from the children is insufficient.
Okay.
It doesn't reach the threshold that's required before I can consider a change of custody. In order for, under the Child Custody Act, before a court can entertain a motion for change of custody, there has to be a significant change in circumstances or other good cause, but simply the request of the children is not considered legally sufficient. As you might imagine, sometimes kids make that kind of request because they want to go and live with the easy parent, and the parent who makes them do their chores and pick up after themselves and whatever else it is that's going on. So that in and of itself is not enough. So are you aware of any underlying reasons for why the children are asking for this?
Gage had stated prior that he did not feel, he hadn't lived with his dad in a little over 5 years. And he went to, when he moved up with his dad, he moved up with his dad and his dad's new girlfriend in Twin Lake. Part of the reason for him moving up there was due to COVID. And he was having to go to school virtually down here, and he was struggling horribly with that. And being able to go up to his father's, he could go to school all day, every day, because down here in Olivet, they only did 2 days in person, and the rest of the time was virtual. And like I said, he has really bad ADD, so he was struggling horribly with the virtual side of it because being on the computer all day, he was not doing good with that.
So tell me, when did Gage move back to his father's?
It was around September, October, because actually Ryan and I had a conversation via phone regarding both of the children going to live with him. He had stated that he would be willing to take both of the children. Part of it was due to this whole COVID situation and the kids having to go virtual. So Ryan and I had talked about drawing up an agreement, and if we agreed to the agreement, then we would move forward, but if not, then we would leave things the way they were. So that Friday, when I went to drop the children off to Ryan, I sent the agreement with Gage to go give to his father when I dropped him off, and Ryan was to either, if he agreed to it, he was going to let me know. If not, we would just go back to normal. Well, Mr. Ream actually did not meet me that Sunday and didn't give the kids back to me until we actually ended up coming in front of you. So he kept them for, I believe it was like 6 weeks. So he had Gage from that time until we had saw you. And then Kevin ended up coming home with me and Gage stayed with him.
All right. And Kevin's been staying with you since then?
Kevin's lived with me since the day he was born.
All right. And does he go to parenting time with his father?
If his father picks him up, yes.
Well, how often does that happen?
What's that?
How often does that happen?
Christmas time, Ryan was supposed to have a week. Kevin called me the next day because I guess some issues had arose at his grandma's house. When they went over there for dinner, he was not happy. Felt that he was being picked on. He had actually broken his foot. And I was told, I'm not exactly sure what the truth is, but I was told by Kevin when he called me crying that everyone laughed at him and told him just suck it up and get over it. But actually, when I got Kevin back the following Sunday, I took him into the doctor and his foot was actually broken. So he didn't extend that full parenting time. The next time, the next couple weekends, he went up there like normal. Spring break was an issue. I have two different, obviously I have Ryan and then I meet with my ex-husband, David. And unfortunately, a lot of the times coincide with each other. Well, Ryan and I's normal parenting time, meeting time is 7 p.m., but holiday is 6 p.m. I forgot. I was completely honest. I forgot. I was going to meet at 7, like the normal thing, instead of 6. Ryan had contacted Kevin and told Kevin at 6:15. He said, if you're not here, or he asked him where we were. And Kevin said, on the highway. And he said, if you're not here by 6:30, I'm leaving. And so we pulled in at 6:32 p.m. Mr. Ream had pulled out at 6:30 p.m. My son called him bawling, Dad, please come back and get me. Ryan refused. He told him, he said, it was your mom's mistake. She should have been here on time. And, I fully admitted, I apologize. I forgot it was 6 p.m., not 7 p.m. And like I said, he was talking on the phone with Kevin and Kevin was crying to him, asking him, he was only a couple miles down the highway and he would not turn around and come back and get him. The following morning, Kevin then contacted his father again. Dad, will you meet Mom to get me? And Ryan said, your mom can bring you all the way here, but I'm not meeting you again. I already met once and you didn't show up. So he didn't go with him for spring break and he was supposed to have him for, I think it was almost like 10 days because it was spring break and Easter. Maybe it was just a week. I'm sorry. And then there was this 2 weekends ago.
Let me stop you. So, I'm gathering from what you're saying that Kevin would prefer to live with you, but yeah. He does like to visit his dad.
He wants to go to his dad when he wants to. He doesn't want to be made to, because He doesn't want to be continually let down when he's supposed to go to his dad's and his dad doesn't get him.
So Kevin is 10?
He's 11. He'll be 12 this year.
Oh, okay. I see that. He'll be 12 in September. And Gage just turned 13 in January?
Yes, sir.
So right now, uh, is Gage living with his father?
Gage is living with his father at this time.
But he wants to come back.
He stated numerous times that he has wanted to come back, and there is numerous reasons I would like him to come back.
And
One
you
of my
and
biggest,
Mr. Ream,
what's
hold
that?
on, you and Mr. Ream have discussed that.
Oh no,
Apparently, you haven't?
we have attempted, but Mr. Ream will not discuss anything with me. That's part of our issue is he will not communicate or co-parent with me in any way. I can't even contact him other than through email.
You don't even know whether or not he's willing to let Gage come back.
At the very first time we talked about it, when Gage had asked me if I would help him talk to his father, Ryan calmly talked to me about it, and he was in agreement to let Gage come back after school was done. But since then, Ryan said absolutely not, but he won't say it to me. He says it through the children because he won't communicate with me. Just this past weekend, when I picked Kevin up from his parenting time, I tried to talk to Mr. Ream about it, and he blew up on me in the middle of Meyer parking lot. I ended up talking to his girlfriend because Ryan refused to talk to me.
How often do you talk to Gage?
When he's allowed to call me. They have taken his phone, and apparently they have taken his tablet. He can't contact me. I've emailed Mr. Ream to ask him to talk to Gage, and he won't respond to me.
So when you have spoken to Gage about the subject of him living with you, what has he said are his reasons?
Well, for one, he said he's not comfortable there. He doesn't feel like it's home. He has to share a room with his girlfriend's son. And I think they've been together for like a year or something like that. But he just doesn't feel like he has his own space. He doesn't feel like he is very comfortable. Another reason is he doesn't feel like he gets time with his dad. He asks his dad to do things with him, and his dad tells him no. He feels like he shows more attention to his girlfriend's kids than he does to Gage. He stated that he is he doesn't feel like he can talk to his dad whenever he brings things up to his dad that he wants to talk to his dad about. He said he yells and gets mad and gets angry and won't just sit and talk to Gage. He doesn't feel like he can express himself or be himself without his dad judging him or putting him down. Prime example, Gage wants a mullet. And I guess his dad said, no, I'm not having somebody that looks like white trash live in my house. But it's just different things like that. But also, Gage loves baseball, absolutely loves baseball. That is his thing. And he was supposed to play baseball, and Ryan signed him up, took him to a practice or two, and then pulled him out of baseball. No reason. I don't understand. I don't know why he pulled him out of baseball. I mean, he said he made a comment. Go ahead.
But let me hear from Mr. Ream. So, Mr. Ream, you're going to need to unmute so I can hear you. I had to mute it because I was getting a lot of background noise. Mr. Ream, can you hear me? I'm not sure what the problem is. I don't think he can hear me. I've several times asked him to unmute his phone, but I don't think he's looking at the computer screen. He's looking at his telephone. Well, it appears that Mr. Ream has lost interest in this hearing, which is troublesome. Do you have any indication that Gage is being mistreated at his father's home?
He has not told me that he has been. I mean, he gets in trouble often. From what he says, his dad says in one breath, I don't have any issues with his behavior. And then in another breath, he said he took his phone because he was having inappropriate text messages with other girls. I know I did have an issue with, he had COVID, which that's another thing is I have legal custody of Gage and I was never even informed that the kid had COVID. I do not get told anything, just like with all his school stuff. I was never informed of anything. I had to call and put myself on stuff because he didn't put me on anything. But yeah, he had COVID, no symptoms or anything like that, and was locked in the basement for 10 days because they have a new baby. And I understand that he can't be around anybody or can't have contact with other members of the family, but they wouldn't even let him go outside. And he's 13 years old. He suffers from ADD. They didn't even give him his medicine while he was down there. So the kid's stuck in a room fighting his own demons in his head, trying to, cope with that. And couldn't even go. And then when I was talking to Gage that day, I was talking to him on video chat saying, yes, you can go outside. There's no reason you can't. You just can't be around anybody else or you can't leave your property. His dad came in the bedroom screaming and yelling, he can't go outside. He can't do this. He can't do that. And yes, I was concerned at that time because I'm like, why was this kid made to sit in a bedroom for 10 days? He can't go out and get any fresh air. He can't, he hasn't had his Adderall. So he's bouncing off the walls in a room that he's in. So Gage has told me he's afraid of his dad because of the way Ryan yells and screams at him. But whether he actually physically hits him, Gage has not said anything to that extent.
I'm looking back through your file. It looks like there's been frequent changes to parenting time over the years.
Ryan had a stroke in 2000, it was 2017 or 2018 due to drug overdose. So we had to change everything at that time because he wasn't there, I guess you could say. So in 2018, I got full physical and legal custody of both boys. And then, like I said, in November of last year, we let Gage go live with him because for one, Gage asked, but for two, because of the whole COVID thing. And Gage was coming into his teen years and the kid needed a male role model horribly.
So I was looking back at the last order that was entered. The two of you reached an agreement and put it on the record, and I prepared an order.
Yes. That was November of last year, correct?
November. And it provides that for the summer, there's supposed to be week on, week off parenting time.
Yes.
Which is going to begin here very shortly. I'm assuming they got maybe one more week of school to go.
Yeah, it starts in 2 weeks.
2 weeks. Any reason to believe that's not going to take place?
I mean, it will, but Kevin's in baseball. He was signed up and he's in baseball. So I know there's going to be some things. I don't know if Mr. Ream is going to agree to bring Kevin down for his baseball games or how that's going to work. But yes, I plan on.
That's quite a distance to be traveling for baseball games.
Right.
I'm going to assume Mr. Ream's not going to want to do that.
Probably not.
So one of the things that the Child Custody Act is designed to prevent is frequent changes of custody. I'm concerned at this point about ordering anything. I'm inclined to say for now, let's not do anything. Let's see how the summer goes and see how the boys feel at the end of the summer.
Okay. My questions
follow the order
are regarding Mr. Ream not taking Kevin when he's supposed to. Because it's been numerous times now when he was supposed to have him, just like they went to Florida 2 weeks ago. He was supposed to have Kevin that weekend and told Kevin, no, he wasn't getting him. They were going to Florida. And then just this past week for Memorial Day weekend, I said, so are you getting Kevin? I spoke to him on Wednesday and he told me no. And then Thursday afternoon at 3 p.m., he messaged Kevin and said, yes, we'd love to have you. And I'm like, okay, we just made all these plans because you said no. Now you're telling Kevin yes. So I have to switch everything around again. And just like, okay, Mother's Day. Mother's Day in our court order states that I was supposed to have Gage from 9 a.m. to 6 p.m. I contacted Ryan in the middle of the week before Mother's Day and said, you're meeting me on Sunday at 9 to get Gage, right? And he said, no. And I said, so you're going against the order? He said, I'm not driving that much in one day. He said, if you want him, you can have him for the weekend. Otherwise, I'm not doing it. So he basically made up his own schedule because he didn't feel like following the court order. And that's the hard part, is like, I have to do all this with him through email because he refuses. He has me blocked on text. He has me blocked on phone call. Like, I can't contact him other than emailing him. And
So,
half the time he doesn't even respond.
Ms. Hedrick, I realize that because of the way that last order was entered, we didn't do any change as to the holiday parenting time. But the reality is, when I have parents at that distance apart, the days where it's 9 a.m. to 8 p.m. are very impractical. They require the kid to do a whole lot of driving. They require everyone else to do a whole lot of driving. I'm frankly sympathetic with how Mr. Reed feels about that. If he offered you the whole weekend instead, why in the world wouldn't you take it?
I did. It's
Oh,
just the
well,
point
that's good.
of, it's just the point of he, you know, I'm supposed to follow the court order to a T, but he can kind of just do what he wants and take kids when he wants, not take kids when he wants. So I'm like, I try to make plans and I try to get stuff situated, and then at the last minute he changes his mind.
I get that, ma'am. I can't force a parent to take parenting time when it's theirs. The consequence, if a parent repeatedly doesn't exercise parenting time, is ultimately I might take it away from him. But we don't force parents to take the kids.
Right.
We punish them when they refuse to produce the kids when they're supposed to, through parenting time violations and contempt of court.
And that's what I'm fighting with right now, is to try to, you know, because he's not the one that has to pick up the pieces to Kevin and have to try to explain to Kevin why dad didn't show up or why dad didn't get him. And Kevin tries to express to Ryan that he feels unwanted and unloved. And instead of trying to talk to him about it, Ryan tells Kevin, you're being disrespectful. You're not supposed to talk to me this way.
All right. Well, looks like I've got Mr. Ream's attention. Let me inquire from him. Mr. Ream, you can hear me now? Mr. Ream?
Hello?
Mr. Ream, it's clear that you couldn't hear me, so.
No, my screen's still blank.
Oh, okay. Well, hold on. I'm going to mute your computer so we don't get feedback. Okay. But I was puzzled as what was going on. Early in the hearing, I muted your channel because I was getting a lot of background noise in. Okay. But then when I tried to get your attention later, I was having no success.
I'm sorry about that.
Okay, so now we got you here. I'm assuming you haven't heard any of this.
No, I haven't.
All right. Well, let's.
Yeah, I've been sitting in the waiting room for almost an hour.
Well, that's because I had other stuff ahead of you. But once I brought once I brought you out of the waiting room and I've had you in here, it looks like it's essentially you've been in the waiting room again because you weren't able to hear anything.
Yeah.
So I've been hearing from Ms. Hedrick about the issues that she's complaining about with the boys.
Okay.
That Gage is telling her he wants to come and live with her. How do you feel about that?
I'm not okay with it. When I got custody of Gage, he came here with all C's and D's, missing a ton of school. When they were both dropped off to me, I had to do both of them through virtual. And then obviously with going back to court, she was awarded back to having Kevin. He had actually I have it right here. He had a D+, an E, an E, a C, and an E in his classes. And I have all of it. I have everything, proof of all that. And now he's had 2 report cards so far, and he's had all A's, B's, and 1 C both times. Current grades right now are A, B minus, A, B plus, and a C.
So let me stop you for a minute, and I'll give you a more chance. But my recollection and understanding at the time when this was changed was he was really struggling with online schooling, and the reason for having him come to live with you is because up north they're doing in person, and he does a lot better with in-person schooling.
No, when he comes to me, he still had to do virtual for another month. Actually until January. He was, as far as I know, he was brought to me when she dropped both of them off, and I have text messages and pictures of him punching holes in the wall. His behavior's out of control. Her texting me saying, "I'm dropping him off to you." And basically she couldn't handle him. He was out of control. He did what he wanted when he wanted. And that's a big part of why he wants to go back, is because I don't let him just do what he wants and tell me what he's going to do. But on 10/1 of 2020, 8 days before she dropped him off to me, I have a picture of him punching a huge hole in the wall and her saying, "I'm bringing Gage to you tomorrow, Ryan."
All right. So let's I've heard her perspective. I've heard yours. Let's talk about Kevin.
Okay.
She's told me, while I didn't realize you couldn't hear us until well into the hearing, that Kevin wants to spend time with you and has been disappointed every time that he's scheduled to spend time with you and for one reason or another isn't able to. What's your perspective on that?
Well, there was one time where I went to pick him up and she didn't show up, and I sat there for 40 minutes so she has always given me the time. That's always her schedule because of me suffering the stroke. And, I don't really say too much about times, when and where. He's given me a schedule and I've stuck to it. So I was there at 5:45. I'm always early. And at 6:30, no response from either of them. And so I left. And I had, I have other kids that have to go places. And so we left. I left. I wasn't going to keep sitting there. No response for the first half hour, no nothing.
All right. I heard her version of that incident, so I was aware of it. Obviously a different perspective, but I was aware of that incident. There was also an incident over spring break. What's your recollection of that?
That was that week.
That was the same week.
Yeah, that was this week that I was talking about.
I gotcha. So we're coming up on the summer schedule. The summer schedule, according to the last order we did, was week on, week off. Are you still planning to follow that?
Yes. But in the court paperwork, it was stating that Kevin don't want to come to me at all. And then when I reached out to him, he basically said, "No, I just don't want to have to go." And I'm like, okay, well, I'm not going to agree to that just for the fact of I'm not going to wait until Thursday or Friday for you, because all week it changes. One day I'm coming, the next day I'm not, the next day I'm coming. And if we try to plan something, I can't always rely on.
You're the one that changes it, not him.
I've never made my kids come if they didn't want to come. And I don't necessarily want it in court order where they have a choice to where if they change their mind Friday at 3:00, to where I can't make no plans because I'm not sure if they're coming or going.
You're kidding.
All right. So here's what the last order says. It says for the summer, it's week on, week off, And there's nowhere in this order that gives either boy the ability to say, no, I don't want to. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm not going to grant any change now. I want you to follow this order for the summer, and let's see where we are at the end of the summer.
Okay.
I'm very reluctant to wade into changing again. This file has had so many changes in it. That's not helpful, particularly when it's being driven by the kids as opposed to being driven by what's in the kids' best interest. So I'm going to expect you both to follow this order for the summer. And at the end of the summer, hopefully things will have settled down a little bit. But if not, if there are any serious issues that the court needs to address, I'd be willing to entertain them, but only after we've seen the summer play out. I expect you to follow it. So that means wherever you're supposed to meet, you're going to be there. You're going to be there on time. You're going to have the kids there. There's not going to be any last minute changes. You're going to follow the order.
Yes, sir.
Yes, Ms. Hedrick.
Okay, regarding times, we have to figure something out because you granted the times for the holiday schedule the same exact as my ex-husband's, and I can't be in two places at once.
Well, let's figure out what it is. It sounds like from Mr. Ream's perspective, he only wants to know that whatever it is, that's what we're going to follow. So I set it for exchanges on Fridays at 7 o'clock.
The regular parenting time is fine. It's the holiday schedule that's the issue.
Oh, I got you. And I didn't really wade into that when you guys put your agreement on the record back in November. The problem with the overnight, it's just a single
It's
day.
the meeting time. It's the time to meet, just like Memorial Day weekend. I had to meet Ryan at 6 p.m. and I'm supposed to meet David at 6 p.m. I can't meet both of them at 6. And Ryan won't, 90% of the time, won't work with me.
Okay, well, hold on. One thing that's clear to me is these holidays that are just during the day, those aren't going to work. You're too far apart. That's too much traveling to impose on a kid. That doesn't work.
That's not what I was referring to the weekend ones that I have to meet him on Friday and Sunday.
All right. So 7 p.m. Friday works for you, correct?
That's our normal meeting time for normal parenting time.
Does that also work for you for holidays?
Yes, for me, yes,
yeah,
sir.
it should.
Well, let's just do that. So the holiday parenting time, the single day holidays, I'm getting rid of, okay? If you want to turn those into a weekend voluntarily, you can, but I'm not going to have all that driving for a single day.
Put it on the record and put it in the order to turn it into a weekend.
Are you okay with that, Mr. Ream?
No. It's because if we already have stuff planned, I would rather just do, because that was the issue we ran into before was, for one day, he wanted me to meet, and I'm like, I'm not spending 4 hours in the car on Mother's Day.
That's what he's saying.
I don't
Turn it into a whole weekend instead of just a day.
Yeah. Well, that's the request. Mr. Ream is opposed to that request.
He's opposed to everything.
Well, I can understand. It's a significant change.
I just don't see why you would want more time with your kids, but it's okay.
All right, so the change that I'm going to order is that the single day holidays are omitted. On other holidays, the exchange time will be 7 p.m. instead of 6 p.m. Does that solve those issues?
Yes, sir.
And then again, I expect you to follow this summer schedule and see how it goes. But letting the kids drive the bus is not a good idea, especially when they're as young as these ones are.
So what do we do about the rest of the court orders that he hasn't followed?
Which
Regarding
parts?
communicating with me, regarding talking negatively about the other parent in front of the children, abiding by I have legal custody and not informing me of anything.
I expect those orders to be followed.
So what do we do?
Changing.
What do I do to him if he doesn't follow them? Because he can't at all.
You can file a motion for an order to show cause. Mr. Ream, what seems to be the problem with communication from your perspective?
It's always her way or the highway. It's just, there is no communication. And I get tired of my phone being blown up. So yes, I do have her blocked, but she can email me. I know she texts me off of my son's phone and my girlfriend off of his phone, saying negative things, bad things. I don't want the drama. I just want to pick up my kids when I'm supposed to. And I know I've said this before, and drop them off when I'm supposed to. I'm always on time. I'm always early. If I have something that interferes with it, I move it to make sure that I'm there to pick them up or drop them off. I left it up to her when the weather was bad. I said, it's your weekend. If you want me to drive it, I'll drive it. I made it all the way there. And then after a half hour, she says, I can't make it.
Yeah, because we were in a blizzard and it was 40 after I had interrupted.
So I don't want the issues. I just want to pick up my kids when I'm supposed to and drop them off when I'm supposed to, and I'm fine.
Any reason you can't communicate by email?
Because he doesn't answer me. So then he tries to communicate through my son, which the court order says you're not supposed to do. My son is not a part of the issues between us, so he shouldn't be contacted regarding adult stuff.
I'll address all of those in an order. I need to stop now. I expect you to follow the orders. I'll make these adjustments as I put on the record. I will reiterate in my order some method of communicating that works. We'll try to come up with something. I think the communications need to be limited to essential communications. Yes, ma'am.
And Your Honor,
how do I request a drug test?
I'm not going to order a drug test.
My son gets prescribed Adderall that's coming up missing, and he's filling it before my son runs out, which my son is the one that told me that.
I'm not wading into that now. Mr. Reed, you had one other thing?
Yes, I just need to decide whose week is whose in the summer. Reason being is because when we get into this week thing, like I know I had holidays last year that I also had this year. So I just want to kind of on a schedule because she's always made up the schedule to what weekend she wants or what week she wants. And I just want it done by the court.
So when's their last day of school?
Kevin's last day of school is the 8th, and I'm supposed to get Gage on the 11th. That was when the week begins.
There we go. Does that work for you, Mr. Reed?
No, that's what she has decided.
Exactly.
That was never.
He won't figure it out.
What do you want it to be?
I wanted it to be the opposite week. I've just never expressed it because, the whole custody, they got dropped off to me. We've been dealing with custody. The whole COVID thing, and
it's stated in our court order that the schedule goes along coinciding with my ex-husband, so that when all my boys are together, it's when I have Miley. So that's why it was done that way, and you put it in our court order that way. So that's why Gage has to come here on the 11th because that's when I have Miley. He wants to coincide it to when his girlfriend has her kids, and they have no relation to my kids.
Yeah, but I have a daughter now with her. But the thing is like I said, I had them the last 2 Easters. Like I keep getting the same holidays.
No, he didn't have them last Easter. He chose to. It wasn't his scheduled time. All I'm saying is you put it in the court
And
order to coincide
I
my
would just like
schedule
all of
with
our
my
kids on
son.
the same schedule.
Well, that sounds like that's going to be impossible. I can't put all of the kids on 2 conflicting schedules. That's impossible.
And that's my thing. My son is their biological brother. He wants to do it with his girlfriend's kids who have no relation to my kids. And they've been on the schedule with Mylan for years now, since Mylan was born. That's how it's been.
Clearly, you have opposing views on what's best. We've got an existing order that says when that's supposed to happen. I expect that order to be followed.
Thank you.
All right, I have to go.
I don't, Your Honor. Your Honor.
I've got to go. I'm out of time.
I just need to know, can I get there's not an existing order though.
There is. He just told you.
If there
It
is
coincides with David's schedule.
I will look for that order. If that's what it says, that's what we're going to follow. She says there is.
Is there a way I can get a copy of it?
Sure.
He's gotten everyone.
Okay, that's all I wanted to know.
All right.
That whole scenario about her coming a half an hour late to drop the child off at their halfway point and the father had already left, I don't really believe that the child and her were in contact with the father the entire time they were driving, because I do not believe that father would have driven away if they were telling him we're 2 minutes away. I don't believe that. I don't think he would have just said, screw it, I'm leaving. And I believe his side of the story. He was sitting there waiting and waiting and waiting, and they never showed. And he tried to contact them, and they didn't respond. So he did leave. And then the son was upset because he didn't get to be with his dad. You know who she blamed? She didn't blame herself. She blamed Dad. She put it on Dad. And if she was truly a caring mother, she cared about her son more than she cared about hating the ex, she would have driven that child all the way to the father's, wherever that is, to the father's house or wherever. Met him around the corner from his house. But a good mother would have said, you know what, I screwed up. I need to make it right to my son, so I'll take you the rest of the way. That's what a good mother would do. But she wanted to turn it around and blame the ex, which the father, and I think that sucks. That just told me what kind of mom she is. And I do believe it's her way or the highway. I believe that she doesn't care about, you know, she's totally fine with dumping the children off with the father when she can't handle them, or where they're getting a little out of control for her and she can't take it. She's perfectly happy to dump them off instead of dealing with it. But then when she wants the control back, she does what she has to get it back. And you know, I got rubbed the wrong way about this with this woman. She just rubbed me the wrong way. And you can completely tell why they're not together. So, as always, thank you all so very much for watching. I very much appreciate you, and I hope you all have a wonderful, happy, and Merry Christmas. And you get to see your family, your friends, and you get to enjoy yourselves and maybe relax a little bit. So, Merry Christmas.